But the first fight that we're going to talk about for UFC Fight Night Vegas, Luque versus Dos Anjos. The first fight of the night is in the men's lightweight division. We have Terrance McKinney versus Mike Breeden. Terrance McKinney, he's sitting at 13 and 6, 28 years old, 5'10", with a 73.5-inch reach. Then we got Mike Breeden. He's 10 and 5, 34 years old, 5'10", with a 70-inch reach. Now we all know that Terrance McKinney is kind of a round one or bust KO type of fighter, right? The last three out of his five fights, he's lost three times and only has won twice. Same thing for Mike Breeden. Mike Breeden is on a two-fight losing skid. Terrance McKinney is on a two-fight losing skid. This is going to be a close fight, and Terrance McKinney is coming in on short notice. Um, this might be a setup fight for Terrance McKinney. I do see a path to victory for Terrance McKinney if he doesn't get wild, if he doesn't just be stupid in there, takes his time, uses his wrestling, uses his grappling, and possibly can end the fight by knockout or submission. Terrance McKinney is a dangerous fighter, but like I said, he's round one or bust. I feel like this is going to be a close fight. Too close to call. Probably won't bet it, but for a picking perspective, I'm going with Terrance McKinney inside the distance against Mike Breeden. And before I move on, let me light this blunt up and let's start the smoke sesh with your boy CJUFCPicks. Make sure to subscribe, roll one up with me, and let's smoke. Next fight, scheduled in the men's heavyweight division, we have Josh Parisian versus Martin Buday. Josh Parisian, he's 15 and 6, 34 years old, 6'4", with a 79-inch reach. Then we got Martin Buday, he's 12 and 1, 31 years old, 6'4", with a 77-inch reach. This is going to be another okay fight in the heavyweight division. Both fighters are okay anywhere the fight goes. Josh Parisian, though, he's been win and loss, win and loss. Lost his last fight to Jamal Pose, which was a bad look in my opinion. Won by KO, TKO against Alan Boudreaux, which is a year ago, but who cares about that? Lost by KO, TKO from Dontel Mays, and we all know Dontel Mays is not that great. Then won against Roque Martinez in a split decision, and I believe Roque Martinez is not in the UFC anymore. And then lost against Parker Porter, which is another bad look in my opinion. Martin Buday has been on a tear. He's been on a winning streak. His last three fights in the UFC, he's won against Chris Barnett in his decision. Then he won against Lucas Brzezinski in a split decision. And then decision win against Jake Collier. And I think he's going to get another decision victory against Josh Parisian here. He's going to continue his winning streak. And that's my pick, ladies and gentlemen. Martin Buday by decision. You already know. Next fight. Speaking of low level, scheduled in the women's flyweight division. Really don't care about this fight, but I'm still going to talk about it just for the fans, just for the followers, you know. Scheduled in the women's flyweight division, we got Juliana Miller versus Luana Santos. Juliana Miller, she's 3 and 2, 27 years old, 5'7", 66-inch reach. Luana Santos. She's 5-1, 23 years old, 5'6", with a 68-inch reach, and I believe she's making her UFC debut. Um, we all know Juliana Miller has won the Ultimate Fighter not too long ago. Her last performance was a huge fail, and I had her against Veronica Hardy there, and she lost pretty bad. And then her last win was against Brogan Walker, and that was to determine the UFC Ultimate Fighter winner, which we all know Juliana Miller won. And for Luana Santos, she had a little bit of a winning streak going on here, 2 wins in a row in the LFA. Now she's making her UFC debut. I do not trust this fight whatsoever. I might bet maybe the over 2.5 rounds, but I'm not betting the money line at all. But for a picking perspective, this is some loud folks, some gas gas. Betting perspective, picking perspective. Let me get Luana Santos by a decision, and I think she's gonna get the victory here in her first UFC fight. Let's move on up to the next fight on the card. Still on the prelims. Scheduled in the men's bantamweight division, we got Marcus McGhee versus J.P. Buys. Marcus McGhee, he's 7-1, 33 years old, 5'8", 69-inch reach. J.P. Buys, he's 9-5, 27 years old, 5'5", 67-inch reach. This should be pretty much a one-sided fight, in my opinion. Marcus McGhee made his debut against Journey Newson on about a month ago and submitted him rear naked choke. I did not see that coming. I picked against Marcus McGhee, and JP Buys riding a 3-fight losing streak, losing against Bruno Silva, losing against Montel Jackson, and then losing against Cody Durden, which we all know Cody Durden is the real deal now. Um, Marcus McGhee is going to win this fight, ladies and gentlemen, any way he wants. KO, TKO, submission, or decision. JP Buys is probably going to get cut after this fight. I do not see him winning at all. And I believe Marcus McGhee is the favorite in this fight. There's no lines as of now on Tapology. I'm going by Tapology order, and I'm going by Tapology numbers. So, yeah. Give me Marcus McGhee to win this fight. Pretty easy. Pretty easy lock right there for you folks. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like us. Make sure to hit the notification bell. Smoke one up with us. Join us for the smoke sesh with CJUFCPicks. Next fight, we got in the men's featherweight division, Francis Marshall versus Isaac Dulgarian. This should be a little banger right here, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss out on this fight. This should be really good right here. Very competitive fight. Francis Marshall, he's 7-1, 24 years old, 5'9", with a 72-inch reach. Isaac Dulgarian, he's undefeated at 8-0, 27 years old, 5'7". His reach is unavailable, and I believe he's making his UFC debut. Francis Marshall he's a very good fighter, man. He impressed me against Marcelo Rojo, knocked him out. Lost a very close fight to William Gomez. Isaac Dulgarian making his UFC debut. We all know how those go. Sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. Isaac Dulgarian is undefeated, but Francis Marshall has fought the tougher competition. He's got a little bit more of a experience, especially in the octagon. Um, I gotta go with a more experienced fighter here. I gotta go with Francis Marshall, the 24-year-old prospect. This guy is gonna be, he's gonna be something, I think, in this featherweight division. If he can get through Isaac Dogarian, which I think he is, he's gonna be moving on up, fighting bigger names, and we'll see how he does there. But for now, give me Francis Marshall, and I think he gets it done by decision. Possibly, maybe a submission. I can see this going to decision though, because Isaac Dogarian is tough. I've seen his tape. He's pretty good. But like I said, Francis Marshall has the UFC experience, and I think he's going to be improving, bouncing back from last split decision loss against William Gomez. Give me Francis Marshall in this fight. And we have made it, ladies and gentlemen, to the featured prelim fight of the night for UFC Fight Night Vegas 78, Luque versus Dos Anjos. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like us. We're on every single social media platform: TikTok, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it nowadays, Facebook, CJ, UFC Picks. Make sure to join us on Instagram so you can check out our dog of the card and our lock of the card. We post those on Instagram now, so make sure to join us there. CJ UFC Picks. The featured prelim fight of the night is in the women's strawweight division. We have Montserrat Ruiz versus Jaqueline Amorim. Montserrat Ruiz, he's 10 and 2, 30 years old, 5 foot even with a 61-inch reach. Then we got Jaqueline Amorim. She's 6 and 1, 28 years old, 5 foot 3, 67.5-inch reach. This fight is going to be very close, ladies and gentlemen. Either girl can win this fight, and I can see this being a pick'em, to be honest. I'm not sure of the line. I'm not sure who's the favorite. I'm not sure who's the dog. I was back and forth on this fight when I was doing tape. But ultimately, I ended up picking Jaqueline Amorim to win this fight. I think she's tougher, faster, stronger, and just overall better. She was on a 4 fight winning streak before her last loss against Sam Hughes, and we all know Sam Hughes is not that bad of a fighter. But Montserrat Ruiz hasn't fought in 2 years. She got knocked out pretty bad against Amanda Lemos. Um, Jaqueline Amorim also has been the more active fighter. She's younger. She's got the reach advantage, the height advantage. I love it. I love that pick. Give me Jaqueline Amorim, and I might even bet her. I don't really bet women's MMA that much when it comes to money line, but for this fight, I might just bet Jaqueline Amorim. I don't see Montserrat Ruiz coming back here and winning this fight after a 2 year layoff. Give me Jaqueline all day. And I hope she's the underdog, because I might even make her my dog of the card. Who knows? Stay tuned for that one. Go to Instagram later this week to figure it out. I usually post it on Wednesdays, so go to my Instagram, CJUFCPicks on Wednesday, so you can know who my dog of the card is. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the first fight on the main card for UFC Fight Night Luque versus Dos Anjos is Josh Fremd versus Jamie Pickett in the men's middleweight division. Josh Freed, 10 and 4, 29 years old, 6'4", 75.5-inch reach. JB Pickett, 34 years old, 6'2", 80-inch reach. Jamie Pickett, kind of a can. And Josh Fremd, he's okay. He's not that bad. Jamie Pickett riding a 3-fight losing skid, losing to Kyle Daukus, not a good look. Losing to Dennis Tululian by knockout TKO. Dennis Tululian is okay. And then losing to submission by Bo Nickel, and we all know Bo Nickel is a problem in this middleweight division. But his last win was against Joseph Holmes, which is not that great, and then against Laureano Staropoli. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I don't think he's in the UFC anymore. And then for Josh Fremd, he won a guillotine choke submission win against Cedric Dumas. Lost against Trajan Gore, which is not that great of a look. And then lost against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. We know Fluffy Hernandez is a monster. He's pretty good. I think Josh Fremd got this, and I'm gonna bet Josh Fremd in this fight. I'm gonna bet him. I'm gonna pick him, and I think after this next loss for Jamie Pickett, ultimately he might just get cut from the UFC. Like I said, I don't think he's UFC caliber. Josh Fremd is the younger, fresher fighter. He's got the height advantage, but Jamie Pickett does have quite of a reach advantage there at 80-inch reach. That's like almost a 4-inch reach advantage right there for Jamie Pickett, but I don't think that's gonna be enough to get the W against Josh Fremd. So give me Josh Fremd in this fight, and he may even get it done inside the distance, knockout, TKO, or submission. That's my prediction. Either way, Josh Fremd wins this fight. 70% act that 70% confidence on that pick. I'm pretty high right now, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you are too. Make sure to join us for the smoke sesh every single week. We're gonna give you fire picks, smoking fire weed. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe to the channel. Show your boy some love. Been on fire. Been on a roll lately for UFC. If I win this week again, it'll be 8 weeks in a row. That's 2 months. 2 months in a row winning UFC, betting on UFC. We're doing it big here, folks. The most underrated mind in the game. I truly, truly believe that. CJUFCPicks right here. Breaking down this next fight. Scheduled in the men's light heavyweight division, we got Khalil Rountree versus Chris Daukus. Khalil Rountree, he's 11 and 5, 33 years old, 6'1", with a 74-inch reach. Chris Daukus, he's 12 and 6, 33 years old, 6'3", with a 76-inch reach. This is another probably one-sided fight right here. Khalil Rountree, he's on a 3-fight winning skid. Chris Daukus, he's on a 3-fight losing skid. Come on, folks. This is clear as day. That last fight with Khalil Rountree against this Dustin Jacoby, that could have went either way. But then he had a knockout victory against Carl Roberson. He knocked out Modestas Bukauskas. Lost a decision to Marcin Prachnio. That was 2 years ago. And then got knocked out by Ian Cutelaba 3 years ago, which is not that great of a look. But he's on a 3-fight winning streak right here, ladies and gentlemen, Khalil Rountree. and he's in the top 15 in the light heavyweight division. Chris Daukus, three fight losing skid, losing against Jorginho Rosenstruck. I mean, Rosenstruck does have that death touch, so I'll excuse him for that one. Losing against Curtis Blades, another excusable loss. Losing against Derek Lewis. I mean, he's getting knocked out left and right here, ladies and gentlemen. His last win was almost 2 years ago against Shamil Abdurakhmanov, and I don't think he was in the UFC anymore. And then he won against old ass Alexei Olenek, who's also not in the UFC anymore, and that was 2 years and 5 months ago. So his last win was almost 2 years ago. Chris Daukus. Yeah, I gotta go with Khalil Rountree all day here, and I might even bet him too. Put him in a parlay with Josh Fremd. Why not, ladies and gentlemen? You should do that bet. Khalil Rountree, Josh Fremd. Not sure about the line right there. They're probably both favorites, but I like those two picks. So let's smoke on that one. You already know the smoke dash with CJUFCPicks. Move on up to the next fight on the card. Scheduled in the men's middleweight division. This is going to be a very close fight. Another fight that I was going back and forth on that I'm not too sure of. But let's break it down for you folks. Tafon Nchukwi versus AJ Dobson. Tafon Nchukwi, 6'3", 28 years old, 6'0", with a 77-inch reach. AJ Dobson, 6'2", 31 years old, 6'1", 76-inch reach. This fight is going to be very close, ladies and gentlemen. This fight can go either way, to be honest. This can be another pick 'em in my opinion. Um, Both fighters are on a two-fight losing skid. Let's go over it. Tafon Nchukwi, he lost against Carlos Oberg by knockout TKO a year ago, so he hasn't fought in about a year. Um, we know Carlos Oberg is the truth, in my opinion. He also lost by a flying knee knockout to Asmat Mirzakhanov, which is also not that good of a look. His last win was almost 2 years ago, a year and 10 months ago, against Mike Rodriguez. And I don't think Mike Rodriguez is in the UFC. Um, AJ Dobson lost against Armin Petrosian. Armin Petrosian is pretty good. And lost against Jacob Malkoon. I think that was my dog of the card that time, actually. I bet Jacob Malkoon on that fight. And then his last win was in the contender series against Hashim Arkaga, and I don't think he's in the UFC at all. I don't even think he made it to the UFC, and if he did, he's not in the UFC anymore. So give me Tafon Nchukwi. I think he's gonna get the victory here. He's fought the tougher competition in my eyes. Even with that year layoff, I mean AJ Dobson hasn't fought in 9 months. Nchukwi hasn't fought in about a year. So tough fight to call, but my gut says Tafon Nchukwi comes back and wins it here. We'll see. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, another close fight to call. Scheduled in the women's strawweight division. Let me just light this up real quick. The Mule Fuel, ladies and gentlemen. Look it up. Mule Fuel. Scheduled in the women's strawweight division. Polyana Viana versus Iasmin Lucindo. Polyana Viana, 13-5, 31 years old, 5'5", 67-inch reach. Iasmin Lucindo, 14-5, 21 years old, 5'3", 66-inch reach. This is gonna be a good fight. Iasmin Lucindo, 21 years old, very young, still learning, still growing. Polyana Viana, very underrated. She's got sneaky KO power, good on the ground. I gotta go with Polyana Viana to win this fight. I think she's gonna get the victory here. She's got the more UFC experience. She's fought the tougher competition. She had a very, very impressive win her last outing compared to Iasmin Lucindo. And I hope Polyana Viana is a dog because I might even make her my dog of the card. Who knows? Like I said, there's a couple dogs on here that I very like, and she is one of them. Polyana Viana is my pick. I hope she's a dog, because if she is, I am going to bet her and I'm going to probably make her my dog of the card. Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? Join me on Wednesday when I post my dog of the card on TikTok and Instagram, Twitter. Make sure to check me out. CJUFCPicks. Do not miss out on my dog of the card. And ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to the co-main event of the evening for UFC Fight Night Vegas 78, Luque versus Dos Anjos. Scheduled in the men's featherweight division, and this is going to be a certified banger. It really is. Cub Swanson versus Hakeem Dawodu. Cub Swanson, he's 28 and 13, 39 years old, 5'8", 70-inch reach. Hakeem Dawodu, 13-3 and 1, 32 years old, 5'8", 72-inch reach. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Cub Swanson has been in wars. He's the veteran in this fight. Right? He's 39 years old, almost 40 years old by the time this fight comes around. Hakeem Dawodu, 32 years old, 8-year gap difference. Only 3 losses on his record. Let's go over the records real quick. Cub Swanson losses to Jonathan Martinez by KO TKO. Win against Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins is also a veteran and has been through wars himself, so that was about a year ago, almost 2 years ago. Loss against Giga Chikadze, and Giga Chikadze is pretty dangerous, so I'll excuse him for that. And then 2 years ago, 2 years and 6 months ago against Daniel Pineda, and then Chrome Gracie, which we know Chrome Gracie is pretty trash. I'm sorry. Hakeem Dawodu, his last loss 10 months ago against Julian Erosa. Win against Michael Trezano. Loss against Mozart Ivalov, which we know he's the truth. This is going to be a very close fight, ladies and gentlemen. This fight is going to be a banger, I'm telling you. Certified banger. In my heart, my gut, I got to go with Cub Swanson. I'm sorry. More experienced fighter. And I think he's going to bounce back. Took 9 months off from the leg kicks from Jonathan Martinez. Plenty of time. I gotta go with Cub Swanson and make sure to tune in for my dog on the card. I think he's gonna be a dog on this fight. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the lines yet. I have a feeling he's gonna be a dog here, just because of the age. And if he is, I'm gonna bet him, folks. Let's go. And we made it, ladies and gentlemen, finally to the main event of the evening for UFC Fight Night. Luque versus Dos Anjos. UFC Fight Night Vegas 78. Light one up with me, folks. The Smoke Sesh with CJUFCPicks. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to comment on the video. Help the algorithm out. You know how it is, folks. Keep the lights on for CJUFCPicks. It only takes 2 seconds to like the video. It only takes 2 seconds to subscribe. Fire picks, fire weed. I'm on a roll. This is the main event of the evening, scheduled in the men's welterweight division. We got Vicente Luque versus Rafael Dos Anjos, or Rafael Dos Anjos. Excuse me. Vicente Luque, 21 9 and 1, 31 years old, 5'11", with a 76-inch reach. Then we have Rafael Dos Anjos, 32 and 14, 38 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach. And this fight is going to be a banger, folks. Two veterans of the UFC. Two guys that always go to war, that always go at it. Two Brazilians. So, this should be a very good fight, and I'm excited for it. So, let's break it down. Vicente Luque coming off a two-fight losing skid. And Rafael Dos Anjos winning the last 3 out of his 5 fights. Let's go over their record for their last 5 fights. So that last loss to Jeff Neal for Vicente Luque, that was a war. That was a war, and Jeff Neal really knocked him out there, and that was a brutal knockout in my opinion. And then he lost a unanimous decision to Belal Muhammad. We know Belal Muhammad, as much as people hate him, I like him. I don't care what people say. I like Belal Muhammad. But as much as people hate Belal Muhammad, we know Belal Muhammad is the truth. So I'll excuse that loss to Belal. But before that, Vicente Luque was on a winning streak. Almost 2 years ago, he submitted Michael Chiesa, and then he submitted Tyron Woodley, and he also knocked out Randy Brown. For Rafael Dos Anjos, he won against Bryan Barberena by rear naked choke. We all know Bryan Barberena is not that great on the ground. All you have to do is take him down and submit him, so not that great of a win. He got knocked out by Rafael Fiziev, and we know Rafael Fiziev is pretty dangerous. He's a pretty good fighter. Won a unanimous decision against Renato Moicano. Won a split decision against Paul Felder. We know Paul Felder right now is retired. Pretty much retired. He's on the desk now calling fights. And then lost against Michael Chiesa. Very interesting. Very interesting fight. And a little bit hard to call, in my opinion. My gut and my heart is telling me I am going with all the advantages here. I'm going with Vicente Luque. He's got the youth advantage, he's got the reach advantage, and he's got the height advantage. 3 advantages. I love it all. Give me Vicente Luque, and possibly by decision. I do see a decision victory here. Maybe even submission. Who knows? Knockout. We all seen both individuals get knocked out and submitted in their careers. So, yeah, give me Vicente Luque to win this fight. ladies and gentlemen, that was the breakdown for UFC Fight Night 78, Luque versus Dos Anjos. Thank you so much for joining me on the smoke sesh with CJ UFC Picks. Make sure to smoke one up. Like us, subscribe. Make sure to check us out on all social media platforms: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We're all over the place. Right here on YouTube, CJUFC Picks. We're out of here, folks. And I'm in the sky.